systems are fragmented, dense, and difficult to compare across countries and legal systems. Legal and policy research is often inaccessible. What we lack is a way to democratize all policies, treaties across countries, and help everyone get a universal understanding in plain language, no technical expertise required. So the target users would be policy analysts, government usage, and also academia. So the solution I used was use Microsoft NL Web. So what that does is lets users ask complex questions like compare climate commitments of G7 countries. I used graph RAG that builds a graph that connects entities and ideas. Policies isn't just about isolated clauses. It's about how they interrelate. Graph RAG shows connections and patterns for the first time. And I use Weaviate for semantic index for individual policy clauses. So for the first time, users from anywhere in the world can query one universal model. So here's an example of multiple user queries. For example, the user queries what is the Paris Agreement, and the response is France agrees to reduce carbon emissions by 40% by 2030. Another example is what is a Montreal Protocol? Countries agree to phase out ozone depletion substances like CFCs. So here's an example of what the graph, the graph RAG outputted. As you can see, there's a lot of clauses from a lot of different treaties, and what graph RAG does is it basically clusters those clauses based on similarity, how similar they are to each other. So if you look over here, they clustered all the labor standards clauses together across different treaties. If you look over here, it clustered all the carbon neutrality and the Green Deals and for the UI-wide carbon neutrality and basically all the clauses related to that. So we go beyond trying to get a complete understanding of the world around us. We think beyond. It's not just about what's in the policies, it's how the counties connect to each other. So with graph RAG reasoning, we're able to explore relationships between countries, clauses, and outcomes. Yeah, that's my project. Thank you.
Woo.
We have a few minutes for questions.
Yeah.
So did you use any documents, or like you used also the internet for the
Yeah, so I try to do a combination of both. So I try to put in my own documents with all the information and have it sourced from there. And also I try to create some sort of like Gemini API so we could also connect to like the internet and for the stuff that was not on the documents.
Okay, so it's like whenever you ask questions, those.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming towards. Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's a use case for it with like a humanitarian lawyer or a human rights lawyer.
Yeah, I really try to think about policy advocates, even like legal government, non-government organizations. So yeah, it's a great point. Hi, yeah.
Hi, great job. This is really interesting. Could you see this spinning off into being like, first you do government, country, and policy, and then what's the next realm that you might do? Or would you just stay with this topic?
Yeah, I think I would stay with this topic because what I found is we lack having like a one universal place that you can go and find like treaties and stuff from all different countries, and it's like very inaccessible for if you're trying to find very like countries that are not on the UN, for example. So I would just try to go further in there. Yeah. Also, I have like one more slide if you have time. It's your question first.
Just kind of curious about like how easy or hard it is to get this data, and like how often are these treaties updated? Like, is this going to be a hard problem
Right,
to kind of keep this up to date and the most recent, or is it sort of one standard repository that's usually?
Yeah, I think I want to add like some real-time updates, so whenever new treaties come in, to have it go directly. Automating that process is something that I should think about. Yeah.
In exploring the data that you turned into a graph, did you find anything interesting or any patterns that you didn't expect?
I think what most I found interesting was like the graph RAG and actually being able to just feed in the data and it automatically clusters it. I just, instead of manually going through and trying to find like carbon emissions across like all these different treaties and all these different countries, if we just feed it in and automatically does that through the graph rag really fast. Yeah, I don't know exactly what that means because you can now go to one centralized place and you can see all the different like if you're looking at like migration or if you're looking at climate, and you can just go to that direct place. I think the last slide. So yeah, I bet you'll ask about differentiation. So for this project, it has the first mover advantage. Like few products have like clause level semantic search, having both like graph based reasoning and generating summaries. So it's not just a document parsing system, it's actually an intelligent engine that gives clause level comparisons across treaties. And it covers international agreements across climate, trade, labor, migration, and digital governance. And lastly, and most importantly, the why. So it empowers transparency and accountability in a global governance. Thank you.